Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of Pinfalls. Today, we're discussing the grandest show of all, WrestleMania. I, of course, am John of JohnJustBeat.com and the Everyday Fan Sports. Joining me, as always, who else but Tommy Else? How are you, Tommy?
I'm good, buddy. Welcome to WrestleMania. It is that time. It is the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup. Yeah.
Baseball doesn't have a name.
No, I guess if they do, I don't know enough about it to know. There must be something for that trophy. I mean, like I can
There's a
picture.
trophy, but it's
Well, they
not.
get the rings too.
Well, there's
But
a trophy, obviously, and a name of the trophy, but there's no big name of the event.
no, because they go into the finals, and
Yeah,
yeah. But even still, the World Series works that way, So it's like you never know
Stanley
for sure.
Cup.
Yeah, you never know for sure when the last game. Well, unless it's like a tie-it-up series or something. But anyway, let's talk about a real sport.
We got 13 big matches, and we're going to change it up this time. You are going to take the lead, pick your order, bring them on.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. We got a lot to cover, so we're going to go right for it. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. After enduring months of disrespect, Rey Mysterio will finally step into the squared circle in a highly personal showdown against his own son, Dominic, at the Showcase of the Immortals. Dom has been pushing and pushing and pushing Rey to hit him, to strike his own child, to confirm that he's the deadbeat dad that Dominic claims that he is. Finally, after his mother and sister were in the audience the other night, I believe it was on SmackDown, he got in their face and told his mother to shut up. And that was the straw that finally broke the camel's back, because not only is that his mother, but that is Rey Mysterio's wife, and he won't let anyone disrespect her. So the final straw was broken, and he is now set to have this match. A lot of implications going into this, because Rey is going into the Hall of Fame. I'm assuming the night before.
But he's not necessarily retiring.
It's not an official retirement. However, I do feel like the odds are that he's probably going to at least be taking a lot of time off from here on in and doing select matches going forward at this point. I think it'll be a while before we see him. As far as so there's, just to throw in real quick, the Hall of Fame part of this. So Hall of Fame is on after SmackDown Friday night. So who knows what happens SmackDown this week, but I don't see any way that Rey gets through his whole induction without there being some sort of Dominic interference of some kind, which is not something they usually do for Hall of Fame.
Right.
They rarely let storylines bleed into the Hall of Fame, other than, maybe like someone will point someone in a crowd and be like, I'll see you tomorrow night, buddy, or something like that. But that's the extent of it. This I see having room to be something a little more elaborate, but who knows? As far as the match itself, I actually have concerns about the quality of the match as far as an entertainment standpoint, because I'm worried that Rey is not going to. I feel, here's the way I feel like this match is going to go. Rey's going to spend about 75% of the time trying to do as little to Dominic as possible. Maybe just work counters on him and stuff. Dominic goes for a move. He counters it. Not really, Dominic's just hurting himself essentially, and then, if he gets him into a hold where he can just kind of subdue him a little bit, and then it's going to take something at the end where Rey finally fires up and comes at him hardcore. As far as my prediction for this, I am going to give it to the young Dominic Mysterio. Like I said, I think that while this is not an official retirement match, I don't think Rey would have a problem if it was his last match, if he was doing it with his son at WrestleMania. I mean, that's a pretty good way to go out. But I definitely think that he and a few other people will be taking some time off after Mania. And it makes more sense for Dom to go over, because then going into post WrestleMania, now he can say that he took the guy that everybody admired and thought was so great and everything, and he put him down, even if it means that, like, all of Judgment Day ends up coming out there to help him do it. So that's my prediction.
Well, I am along with you. I'm going with Ray. Or I'm sorry, I'm going with Dom. Going with Dom. And I started to think like, would they do something and hug it out at the end? But then that would turn Dom face and kind of destroy a lot of the. He's
It would
built a
undo
lot of
everything that
crazy,
they've done with him so far.
right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting ending how it happens. I could possibly see the wife getting involved. Maybe Dom
Hmm.
is beating the heck out of Ray, and the wife, throws a towel in, so to speak, like
Sure. Yeah.
the
And that's
Hearts did that years ago.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
I could see something like that. So Ray kind of doesn't technically lose, maybe, and then he kind of just walks off into the sunset for a while, like you said. Who knows what happens when he comes back, if he ever comes back. But in either case, I'm going with Dom, just as you did.
It does set up a potential like rematch at, like, maybe I think SummerSlam would probably be too soon, but you never know. It could be like next year at the Rumble,
Yeah,
that Dominic's out there in the ring and suddenly Ray's music hits, and it's the first time we've seen him since Mania, and he comes and throws Dom out or something.
yeah,
I think we're talking like down the road, but it would still have legs if they wanted to do something then.
yeah. Anytime you have a father son going, it carries through.
Sure. All
One
right.
and one.
Moving on. Now, they announced two WrestleMania showcase matches,
I
and when
hate
they,
these
yes, and I same here. When they announced these, I was just like, oh God, this is
fillers.
a waste of 16 people and time. I'm like, it is just filler, unfortunately, in my opinion. But starting off with the men's one, we've got Braun Strowman and Ricochet, the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. Um, so four tag teams. I am not a fan of the thrown together tag teams. You and I have talked about this before. So Strowman and Ricochet, I just don't see the chemistry. I don't see why they're together in the first place, other than they just must have nothing else to do. So I'm counting them out. I don't see them with any legs moving forward post WrestleMania. As far as the Alpha Academy goes, a lot of weird stuff going on in the Alpha Academy right now with Otis and the maximum male model, angle and everything. Though I'm a big fan of the Alpha Academy, and I do love the shoosh please, and thank you. I love Chad Gable. He is in the best way a modern day Kurt Angle. I mean,
Yes.
just well, I love him. I do not see them going over. However, Street Profits would be one of the guys I would be leaning towards, but it really seems like they're working on getting Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins into singles competition more, and trying to get, I think Montez especially, um, get him into a single situation. So for them to win, they don't really need it so much because they have other plans, which leaves the Viking Raiders, who are going to be my choice for the win. I think they would benefit the most from the win. I think they're a solid tag team. They're an actual tag team. That's their gimmick. No one's looking to split them up anytime soon. They now have our friend Valhalla out there with them. It's a
AKA Crazy Mary Dobson, AKA Sarah Logan.
yeah. Just it's a classic uh pro wrestling type of gimmick. I'm sure Vince probably loves them. So I'm going with Viking Raiders for the men's showcase.
2 for 2. I agree with everything you said. I'm not a fan of the Braun Ricochet team. I think the Street Profits are going the singles route. I do love Alpha Academy, but I don't think they're going to do it here.
Right.
I think this is the time for Viking Raiders to take it. I would like to see Viking Raiders take it, and our friend Valhalla perhaps re-enter the ring in some fashion. and
Yeah,
maybe start challenging for some women's gold.
I'm hoping in the next year, yeah, they're going to start letting her get out there and do some stuff on her own. And if they, if they end up becoming new tag champions at some point, or because depending on the tag title situation post Mania, I would certainly think that if they win this match, they would be the next contenders in line.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
all right, moving on to the women's showcase match. This we have Liv Morgan teaming up with Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalia and Shotzi versus Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Going in order, Liv Morgan and Raquel. Here's the problem: all of these teams but one are thrown together teams.
Yeah.
And again, not a fan of that. I don't think any of these teams have legs past WrestleMania. So just to cut to the quick, I'm going with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I think that's a tag team that I have been wanting to see for a very long time. I think there's absolutely no reason they shouldn't be able to beat all three of those teams. And I look forward to them being a force in the women's tag team division. So there he is.
Three for three. It's got to be Ronda and Shayna. Ronda's, as much as people criticize her, I still like Ronda.
I don't have a problem. I'll tell you what, I like her a lot better as a tag partner with Shayna. I mean, I've kind of, I don't dislike Ronda, but I've kind of gotten over it, and I think most people have. I think the shine is kind of worn off on her, but I think that, I've always been a very big Shayna Baszler fan. I love Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
I just think she just has such a great look, such a great style. She's pretty good. She's good on the mic in the sense that she's got the confidence and the improv ability to pull it off. There's just something about her voice that, like, it doesn't, like, she almost needs a gruffer voice or or like a meaner voice or something. It's just like what she's saying and the way she's saying it is great. It still just doesn't sound quite as intimidating as it should coming from her. I don't know.
Well, I look for Ronda and Shayna to just destroy their opponents in this one. I look for this to be almost like a squash match. I see them just crushing the other three teams.
All right. Moving on. Intercontinental Championship. Gunther will be defending in a triple threat. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. This whole lead up to this thing has been ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing Sheamus and McIntyre go at it back and forth. It's just like, the double countouts, the double pins.
And who cares?
And who cares? They've been tag partners. They've both have fought each other for the championship. Now, Sheamus has never won the IC title, so that's been kind of his thing. Is he wanted it, and he thought that Drew McIntyre should just kind of sit this one out because Drew's already had it, and but they can't seem to let it go. So now Gunther finds himself in a triple threat, and in my estimation, I think Gunther retains the title. I think that Sheamus and McIntyre will ultimately cancel each other out, and we're just going to see Gunther carry on. And I think he's been a very good Intercontinental champion, and I think he has every good reason to carry on with the title. So,
well, I don't want to give away future predictions here, but there's only so many titles I think that will change hands. With that being said, I'm freaking Gunther to hold on to it. I don't care about this match. I really don't. And I hate to say that, not to crap on matches, but enough with the Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, as you said. It's funny. We very rarely talk WWE outside of pinfalls, but it's like we've been dead on with our thought process for the first four matches, dead on.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right, which is funny. I never really thought about that, but we usually don't have too many conversations about this until we're sitting here doing this. But yeah, no, it's just, who cares? We've just seen it, and I just don't like. And let's say that Sheamus wins. Oh, who cares? Let's
Right.
say
Other than
Mac.
the fact that he's now had that he
Right,
competed or
good for
whatever.
him. But
Great.
and then if McIntyre wins, who cares? If Gunther wins, now he carries on as a very strong Intercontinental champion and a very different type of talent than a lot of. I mean, he's very unique. You
Yeah.
know, I like him. I like Imperium. I liked what they did in NXT, and am glad that they have stuck with Imperium and kept it what it is without changing it as they made the transition from NXT. Because too many times they take something really great in NXT, bring it to the
Yeah.
WWE, and then it
Love it.
just goes to shit. So
I don't like his name. Can I say that? Does it sound silly? I don't
you
like
don't like,
their name. It's a stupid WWE thing.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of get it. I mean, it is just, I don't know. I can see both sides of an argument for the name. It's not particularly, creative, but I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, we're four
All
for
right.
four.
Moving on. Big one here. Big one. We got Edge versus the demon Finn Balor inside Hell in a Cell. This, I think, is going to be a show-stopping, show-stealing match. I think this has match of the night potential. Not going to say that's definitely match of the night, but this is definitely a contender for sure. Edge, Edge and Balor, man. There's no doubt these two can put on a good match. The storyline is all there. It has to all culminate. And enough of Judgment Day is spread out in other matches. So it's, because here's one of the problems I have with the way they do Hell in a Cell and stuff these days is that too many people are being able to get into Hell in a Cell,
Which defeats the whole purpose.
right? It's like there's been too many times in recent history where somebody like comes in under the mat, or they've been waiting under the ring, or they now somebody figured out that bolt cutters work on chain link, so so I don't like that, because the one thing you're supposed to be guaranteed in a Hell in a Cell is that there's no way anyone can interfere in this match. So I'm really hoping that there isn't any interference, because I'd imagine that, with Rhea Ripley having her match, Mysterio having his match, and I think that Priest has got something going on, maybe he's in the Andre tournament or something like that, but he might be the only one available around. But I mean, still, I'm going with Edge. I gotta figure that they gotta, I think Judgment Day will probably get enough wins otherwise as a group that Balor can take the loss, and Edge can put put a stamp on this, because one of the things he said in one of his promos is that since he's come back, he spent the majority of his time wasting it on them when he could be doing other matches and stuff like that. And at this point, I agree. I mean, it has been a good story and it has been good and everything, but I do think that it's time that we get him out of the whole Judgment Day storyline and let him start working some other people, because he does in fact only have so much time left on the card, to keep working matches and stuff like that. So I say we give this one to Edge and let him put this one behind him.
Well, this one caused me the most headache. I went back and forth on it. I thought that maybe Edge takes some time off after this match, in which case I'm not sure which way that would mean he wins or loses. Finn has been getting the better of him. So which I thought, well, okay, it's Edge. Edge needs to get that win back. But I think the win does more for Balor than it does for Edge. Edge could absorb the loss. So I am going with Balor. And especially now that he's the demon. Because if the demon comes back and loses, what's the point of the demon?
Well, if he loses to Edge, though, it depends on who you lose to, and this has been a long time coming. It's WrestleMania. I don't know. This is a good one for us to be on opposite ends of, though, because it's going to be an exciting match. So
yeah, I'd rather lose to you on a match like this than lose to you on one of the stupid 4-way things.
Yeah. So we'll no, I just feel they got to give it to Edge. I mean, they've gotten nothing. They've just gotten no victories or anything over them. So of any, I mean, they had what?
Well,
Did they had the tag thing, right? But
well, I'm betting on Balor, and if I go to Vegas, I might even place a fin on it.
our next match on the card here is Brock Lesnar versus Omos.
Another one nobody cares about.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not too excited about this one either. I don't really have a whole lot to even say about it. I do think that Lesnar's going to win. I think that, and the only reason I think I would, it would make sense. Well, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. I don't know. I think Lesnar's taken quite a few losses lately. In some pretty big matches. Now, granted, it's been like he's had to get buried under tables and
With a forklift.
right, and run over
Yeah.
by a bus, and it's like they've had to go through some great lengths to put him down, but he's due for a win. And if he's going to remain the beast incarnate, he's got to take out a formidable opponent, and Omos is that guy. I mean, like right now, I mean, he's over 100 pounds heavier than Lesnar is. I mean, which
Right.
and Lesnar's usually dancing around the high 280s, 290, So I think Lesnar wins. Omos, he'll put on a good. The best thing for Omos is to put on a good show, have a good match with him, make him look good. And Lesnar, but Lesnar needs to maintain this reputation, and he's not going to be able to keep that up, even with 20 years behind him if he's just,
Right.
losing all the time. So,
Right. Then he becomes Kane.
right. So I'm with Lesnar on this one.
I don't know why they're even wasting, other than they want Lesnar on the WrestleMania card. Why are they wasting Lesnar in a match with Omos? I have nothing really against Omos, but this match does, again, this match does nothing for me. I started to think, and I know he's involved. I believe he's involved in the Andre Battle Royal. Somehow Lashley, I think, might play something in this, and then Lashley ends up feuding with Omos, and that goes off in a different direction. Either way, I hope Lesnar. I hope it's a quick one, I'm going with Lesnar with the smash victory.
Yeah, Lashley kind of got screwed this year on WrestleMania because it sounded like they had the whole thing with him and Bray Wyatt was the plan, and then something's going on with Bray Wyatt. I don't know that we have any confirmation as to the details as to what that is. And so they were like last minute scrambling, trying to figure out, like, they wanted Lashley on the card for something, but and then they just threw him into the Andre, which isn't part of WrestleMania. But if you want my prediction, I think they're going to probably give that to Lashley just because.
But even that's dumb. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal, he doesn't need that.
Well, no, he does.
They'll probably give it to him.
Right, and he doesn't need it. That should be for people who are like coming up and they're trying to it's like getting. It's not quite as big as King of the Ring, but it's just one of those stepping stones that kind of helps boost you a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, Baron Corbin won, the Andre thing. So I mean, all right. So you're going with Lesnar. Then.
I'm going with Lesnar. We still have one different.
Okay. All right. Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch take on Damage Control in a 6-women tag team match. Titles are not on the line. I have found this whole thing just very weak. I love Lita. I love Trish. Lita, if you watch these matches and the stuff that they've been doing out there, I mean, Becky is just doing 98% of the work out there. I mean, Lita is like 2 moves. Anything she's doing is real slow and soft. She's obviously taking it easy. And I get it. She's had a long career. She broke her neck, I mean, she can't do what she used to do. And it's totally understandable. But don't put her out there and expose her like that.
This is it.
And then that's called exposing yourself. And don't put a title on them. It's like they're going to lose these titles after Mania because this is a non-title match. So I mean, they got maybe a month left. Maybe Backlash they'll make it to that, and then they'll lose the titles to somebody. But I say Trish Trish is kind of a wild card in this thing. I have concerns that Trish may play a part that could possibly like cost Lita and Becky, maybe like some sort of interference or turn, Uh, but either way, I'm gonna go with Becky and Lita for the win against Damage Control, but I have suspicions about some possible chicanery from Trish Stratus.
Well, you mentioned exposing Trish and Lita, and I have no problem if they're exposed.
I know,
But
I know.
and you get my notes exactly. Again, Trish is going to do something. I think Trish might turn. I don't know where it goes though, because if
Yeah,
they're not active wrestlers. What happens if she turns? Where does that go? Are they
well,
going
I
to
mean, yeah, and then it's like
SummerSlam match?
so then at one point then you could say, well, maybe like Lita teams up with Bailey, and then it's like the 2 versus 2, but then you can't put the titles on the line because neither one of those teams should be tag team champions. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
And
it's
then
like
I mean, then you have a Trish
so,
versus Lita 1-on-1 at SummerSlam.
and that was another thought possibly, but why? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I'll say this from what I've seen of Trish, just in the interference that she's run and everything. I mean, she seems like she's in far better condition than Trish Stratus or than
No,
Lita.
then
I
Lita.
mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely doing just fine. So I'm sure she could heck getting through a match, no problem. But I don't know. Where does it go from there? I don't know. But I'm with you that Trish could be an issue.
Well,
So.
with that under advisement, I'm going Damage Control for our second different,
Ooh, man.
which is weird because I am going to be. I can't cheer against Trish. I love Trish. She gave me a
Yeah.
big hug at C2E2 last year.
Yeah, they haven't taken a shower since. Well,
Yeah. And your point is?
so Trish gave you a big hug, so you're going to go with them for WrestleMania
No, I'm not going with
no,
Trish.
you're
I'm
going
going with
with
Damage
Damage
Control.
Control. And what's your reasoning for Damage Control's win?
I think Trish is going to turn. I think Trish is going to cost her team the match. And then I don't know if that goes into Trish being the heel against Lita. Maybe she works a short program with Becky.
Yeah.
We don't need a Lita versus Trish match again. I love both of them. We don't need it. Becky doesn't need a match with Trish either. So I don't know where it goes from there. But I just have this feeling that Trish is going to turn, cost them
Yeah.
the match, and I mean she won't join Damage Control. I don't see that happening. But
No.
I don't know where it goes from there, and I don't know to what good it does. But that's what I see happening.
Yeah, I agree.
So we
Except
have
for
two
the
different.
Okay. All right. Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair defends her title against Asuka. I think they're pushing Asuka hard. I think Bianca's had the title for a long time. I don't think there's a lot more to say to it other than that, and I think Asuka's walking out with the women's title that night.
Yeah, I don't want to short shift the women's match because I think this is going to be a great match, and
It will be a great match. I just
yeah, no,
there's
I
only
agree
so
with
much
you.
so much to be said about it. So
I'm with you 100%. Asuka with the win. Belair has done very well with the title, but it's time for the tide to turn. It's time to see what Asuka can do and go from there. So Asuka for the win.
All right, moving on. The undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Well, I mean, this is too long of a story to recap, but I mean, we are going on these guys are the longest reigning tag team champions in history, I believe. I don't know.
Think so.
I think so.
Did they pass demolition?
But demolition, I don't know. But they will be facing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I feel like this is if there was ever going to end for these guys, this has got to be it. So I'm going with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think the titles finally come off the Usos.
Well, I should have maybe worn my Resistance Pro shirt instead of my Billy Stark shirt. Although I love Billy, but yeah, the Resistance Pro alumni take this one. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. The story's got to end. And the Usos have done well with it. I mean, it's been a great story. It is dragging on a little bit long. People are getting tired of the whole bloodline thing.
It's the story is over. I mean,
Right. This is the time. You got to
yeah,
end the story at some point. You've preached that a lot where you build a story, you got the arc, you need the finish. This is the finish.
yeah. There's just certain times where it's like this is it, and if you don't take this opportunity, it'll never, no matter how you try to end it, it'll never be done right.
And you lose
So,
the audience. Then it
right,
becomes who cares?
right. Um, all right. So moving on, we have Rhea Ripley challenging SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title. I see Rhea Ripley winning this one. I think that she's due. I think that she's had a hell of a year. I think since I do believe that Finn is going to lose his match, I think that they do need to have some wins in Judgment Day. And I think that, I think, like I said, that Dom's going to win his match. I think that Ripley will win hers. And honestly, I just think that, I mean, personally, I'm really bored of Charlotte Flair. I mean, she came back, she got the title, and since she's been back, it's just been completely flat to me. I just don't care. So
I hope that Flair as a face to me doesn't work. I don't, or at least right now, it's not working for me. Believe it or not, I'm picking Rhea Ripley. See what I did there? It's her time. It's going to be a Judgment Day festival at WrestleMania.
that one's going to go over the heads of a lot of young folks there.
Well, that's okay.
To
I've got a
believe it or
flair
not
for
there.
that.
Oh, yeah, jeez. All right. Well,
But it's time for Charlotte to lose. How many titles has she? How many reigns has she had total? Because
14, I believe.
so she loses it now. She'll gain another title later. She's going to eventually break Rick's record. Well, everybody's going to break Rick's record because titles change hands, like you change shirts. So there you go.
What are you talking about? Like I change shirts.
You change shirts daily, right?
Well, not really, but
Well, you
okay.
should.
Moving on. We have the innovator, the architect, Seth freaking Rollins
Mr. Becky Lynch.
versus Logan Paul. Uh this is kind of a tough one, only because while they've had Logan Paul wrestle in the past, he did have his big match with Roman Reigns, and it was a great match. It was a great match. Nobody can take it away. Logan Paul has definitely learned to play up the heel character very well. The WWE universe clearly resents him being there now. Rollins is just, he's on fire. I think Rollins deserves to have this win. I don't think it does anything for Logan Paul. I mean, if he wins, then what? I mean, he humiliates one of WWE's biggest stars and then disappears until SummerSlam. That doesn't fly. And I don't think Logan Paul really cares either way because he's there to get a paycheck and he can still come back and, maybe he comes back and gets a win over Seth at like SummerSlam or something like that. That I could see as a possibility. But WrestleMania, this first one, Paul has gotten the drop on him at the Royal Rumble and all these other situations. He keeps getting the upper hand on him. So Rollins is due for his comeuppance, and so I see Rollins winning it, and I think that the crowd's gonna. It's also one of those things where if you're at WrestleMania, it's one thing to be watching it on TV, but if you're at WrestleMania and that whole 70 some thousand people that they're going to have there are all singing Rollins' song and all that and everything, the only way those people are leaving happy is if Rollins wins, man. So you got to give everybody a good experience, if at WrestleMania, if nothing else. So yeah, that's my call.
Well, in the past, we've said it, you've led the cheer that Rollins could, slough off losses. It's not a really big deal because that's just his character. And I agree with that. He's lost a bunch late, and I shouldn't say bunch. He's lost enough lately. Um, all your points are valid. The crowd is so behind him. He's hotter than ever. And I love Seth Rollins, even though he's married to Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I think his character is fantastic. I think his wrestling is fantastic. The victory does very little for Logan Paul. I do think this has the potential to be a surprise match of the night.
I agree that this could be a very, very good match. Yes, I mean I think a lot of us begrudgingly have to give credit to Logan Paul because he does. I mean, he really did put on a hell of a show in both of his outings that he's had. I mean,
and when you put Rollins in with him, that's going to make it that much better.
He'll make him look even better than he is on top of it. So
Rollins ultimately comes out with his hand raised.
All right, let's move on to United States Champion Austin Theory versus John Cena. You can see John Cena.
Oh, now if I said that, I'd get
at WrestleMania this year. You can see him. But this one, I'm going to say Austin Theory wins. Okay. I don't think this is necessarily like a passing of the torch or anything like that. I think this is to help kind of bolster Austin Theory. How it goes down, I don't know. They'll find a way to do it where Cena, manages to, save a little face in it. But again, it means more for Theory to show up on Monday Night Raw after Mania and be able to say that he took down John Cena in whatever way he ends up doing it, whether it's cheating or however he pulls it off. But and then Cena, if he wins and he's the new United States champion, then what? What do you do with John Cena as United States champion in 2023? So I'm going with Theory.
Well, everything you said makes perfect sense. However, to quote Santino Marella, I'm going with the John Cena. I think Cena's going to win this one. I don't know where it goes after that. I don't know if Cena, Cena's going to give him a great match, and Theory could prove himself in this match. So that could be, sort of the I lost, but man, you hung tough. I like the respect type thing. Maybe Cena relinquishes the title on Raw. Maybe he gets beat real quick on the next Raw. Who knows? Maybe he only holds it a very short time, and it goes right back to Theory.
We'll see, but I just I think that they got to let Theory have this one. So,
well, in either case, because it's our third different match.
Well, this is the good thing about Mania is there's enough matches that we're bound to at least have a few here. And at least
and as I said, at least we're differing on matches that we really care about.
Good matches, yeah. All right, my friend, this brings us to the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. It's got to be the night that Reigns loses the title. It has to be. I've heard some people say that, I've heard different theories about how Reigns could lose the title, in that like Jey Uso ends up turning on him and costs him the title, things like that. I don't think there's going to be anything. If there is any interference, it's not going to be anything that necessarily helps Cody so much, because I believe they're going to want Cody to have a clean victory in this, so that there's no asterisk next to it. So there's no way for anyone to say, well, for Heyman or anyone to be like, you beat him, but you beat him because so-and-so or whatever happened or something like that. This has to be a clean and definitive victory. There's Roman Reigns has fought every single person on the roster who is worth title contention, and he's held the title for a ridiculous amount of time now. The only person he has not taken on in this situation is Cody Rhodes, who's got all the momentum in the world. He's got the whole world at his back, backing him up. Everybody's ready to see the storyline break. If the tag titles come off the Usos, then that can play with the psyche of Roman Reigns and make him a little more nervous about things. The whole thing, the bloodline falls apart. I also envision a video package moment at some point where you see Cody Rhodes with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens standing in the middle of the ring at the end of WrestleMania, all holding up their belts. So I know it's probably an obvious one, but I am going with Cody Rhodes. I think the tribal chief will lose his power over the island of relevance.
Very nicely done. I don't know if this is so obvious though. It should be obvious, and it seems to be obvious. But if the tag team, I could see the tag team losing their titles, the Usos losing their titles, and then the decline of the bloodline, and then Roman wins and throws it back at him. I could see WWE stretching this out, trying to just squeeze a little bit more out of it. I hope not. I can also see something where Cody wins clean. Like you said, he's got to win clean because otherwise, as we said earlier and all along, you build the story, you have the arc, you need that finish, and Cody needs to win this thing clean.
Right.
But what if on Monday Raw comes out and Paul Heyman comes out and says, "Cody, you did it. You beat Roman Reigns." However, the contract did not say it was for the Universal title. It was only for the whatever title. They split the title, so Roman is still champ of one of the two.
Well, it's being billed as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Well, that doesn't
know what it's being billed as.
Well, undisputed. The undisputed means you've got both titles. So, that's not it's not impossible because I'm trying to think. I don't know how this works. Because there's the undisputed championship and then there's the WWE championship. Now, I believe the undisputed is what you get if you have both titles combined. So I would imagine. I mean, he's holding both titles in the picture.
Yeah. But I could see a scenario.
But yeah, no, you could see some sort of I guess. But even if he did that, Cody still comes out on top. He's still doing fine,
Yeah, Cody still
but at
has
the
same
moment. But at the same time, you don't want the bloodline to like fizzle out and die like this, this unentertaining death. It's better for them to just get, cut down. And then what should happen is the bloodline should turn on themselves. And now you've got like Jimmy and Jay taking on like, Solo and Roman or something like that, or something. I mean, like, and have, if Roman doesn't just go away altogether, which is the other thing, because Roman has got to need a vacation at this point, you got to
what about SummerSlam? If you smell what I'm cooking, the return of The Rock to face Roman.
They would save it for Mania, I think.
You think so?
Way more money to be made. Yeah. They'd make so much more money on it at Mania. It's too big of a match, even for SummerSlam. If they were having if they did it at Mania and then had a rematch at SummerSlam, I could see that. But to do the initial one, that's Mania all over it. I mean, and the Rock, Rock is also going to want a payday, like a Mania payday.
Well, I mean, but it just depends on Rock's schedule too. He might say, "Hey, I'm available right here."
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But in either case, the bottom line is we both agree Cody's winning that title, or Cody's winning the match, winning probably the title, maybe the half title, whatever. But Cody's winning it.
Right.
So we have 3 different.
Okay. Well, there it is, my friend. WrestleMania 39.
Any random surprises, random thoughts before we end this one?
I don't know why, but I have a bit of a a hunch, I guess I can't think of a better word, but I feel like maybe during like the Cena Theory match that like maybe some old, like someone from like Cena's past or something like that, and I've heard that, Orton may show up at this thing or something like that. I could see maybe him coming out or something like that, and like him costing him something like that. I think back to WrestleMania 19 when Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan had their match. Now, the story leading up to that was just awful. It was
Yeah. Right.
gut wrenchingly awful. It was like every week on SmackDown, it got worse and worse. And I was like, this is going to be like the worst match of the night. That ended up being a great match.
Yes.
I loved Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan. That was great. But one of the great parts of it was when your good buddy Roddy Piper showed up out of nowhere, pulls off like the trench coat or whatever, and there he is, and he's got the lead pipe, and he goes in there, and you think he's going to go after Hogan, but he goes after Vince instead, or something like that, or whatever the case was. And I could see something like that going on in that Cena match. So that's just something that crossed my mind. But other than that, all we can do is sit back and watch the show and see what they've got planned.
There's got to be a return of somebody. There's going to be a turn one way or the other from somebody. That's the beauty of WrestleMania.
I would like to go on record with my yearly complaint and position that I still believe and hope one day they'll rectify that this WrestleMania will go back to being one night.
I trim this card down.
I still don't think we need 2 nights of WrestleMania. No. I love it. If you want to do a 4-hour WrestleMania, that's fine. I don't want to do a 5. I think that's too much, but I think that, there's a few matches you could have trimmed out of this.
Easily.
Made a solid 4-hour WrestleMania, and we don't need to do 2 nights. So I'm just going on record. Every year that they do it, I'm just going to, in case Hunter or anyone else is watching this show, just letting you know.
I gotta agree with you. I mean, you could easily chop out 5 or 6 of these matches. No offense to any of these people, but we don't need to see the fatal 4-way tag matches. We don't need to see even the Lita Trish. That could very easily just be a Raw match.
That could go. The IC title match could go. The 2 4-way tag matches could go. That's 4 matches right there. You could peel off the card.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there you have it. You trim those 4 off. You put a 4-hour show on. You knock out a little bit of the BS segments in between, and you got a really good WrestleMania.
And we don't need the Miz or anybody to host this whole thing where they have a host of WrestleMania every year. Is just, I don't get it. The host doesn't ever do anything. They've never been entertaining. I love Alexa Bliss, but she was the host of WrestleMania one year, and it was like, who cares? She came out and did what? The only host that I saw who ever did anything cool, and I don't even remember who the hell it was at this point, to be honest with you, but there was one host. Oh, it was the New Day. Yeah, it was when the New Day hosted, and they made an audible in the tag team match, and the Hardy Boys showed up out of nowhere. That was the only thing I've ever seen.
But you didn't need them.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't need them.
Hardy Boys could have just came in and said, "We want in."
Right. But anyway, no, having a host, doesn't really need to be. It's not whatever. Anyway,
it's nothing.
But yeah, so that's it. So for everyone out there, please do enjoy WrestleMania. I mean, it'll be fun. I think the good matches will be fantastic. I think they'll be great, and the bad ones are gonna suck big time. So,
but hopefully the bad ones will be short. The good ones will be longer.
Right. The good ones are going to be great. We got a great Hell in a Cell. We've got Rollins and Paul Logan, and I mean, I think those are going to be really off the chain matches. The main event, I'm sure, will be just it will be a true main event for sure. The tag titles are going to be a good match.
Before we wrap up, I lead 8. I am 8-2. You're 7-3 this year in a rubber series year.
So you're up by 1.
I'm up by 1.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to change in a few days. So
I'll be up by 4.
take it easy. Take it easy. All right, John.
Everyone, make your picks. Enjoy the show. See how you do against us. Check out the results on the Everyday Fan Sports and the Johngy or Else podcast. Enjoy the show.